Hello everyone! I've counted the votes, and the card you wanted me to talk about most is...
The Feast of Souls begin now. Come, little ones.
Twin Emperor Vek'lor. Let's begin, shall we? The Twin Emperor Vek'lor card has been added with the Whispers of the Old Gods edition. When your Kafun has been worshipped enough and has at least 10 attack, not only will you summon Vek'lor onto the battlefield, but also his twin, Vek'linash. The story behind these two goes way back to the early days of Azeroth, where the old gods crashed on the planet and infected it. From their blighted forms, organic matter seeped, giving rise to a race called the Ahn'qiraj, insectoids of incredible resilience and strength. The old gods would eventually conquer and rule the planet for a while, until the Titans showed up and brought order to the planet. The so-called Black Empire was crushed, many of the Ahn'qiraj were defeated, and the old gods were imprisoned. The old god Kafun was imprisoned near a place southwest we call Ahn'qiraj, where some of the Ahn'qiraj eventually made their home. The captive old god's foul presence would slowly warp the Ahn'qiraj's form over time, molding them into a race known as the Qiraji. We've seen similar evolutions before, like the Mentids in Pandaria, the Nerubians in Northrend. Now for many years, the Qiraji would lay dormant, the world all but forgotten about Ahn'qiraj, until Archdruid Vendrel Stackhelm, he went on a quest to regrow the land of Silithus. He sent out his son Valstan and a group of the most trusted druids to perform this task. Their party eventually stumbled across Ahn'qiraj. Their presence rose the dormant Qiraji back to life. The imprisoned old god Kafun also felt the awakening of the Qiraji, and he sent his minions in a murderous frenzy. The Qiraji society began to organize their lesser minions, the most numerous of which were known as the Silithid. A massive army spilled out of Ahn'qiraj, and the War of the Shifting Sands begun. The Night Elves were eventually aided by dragons, and together they were able to push back the Qiraji and raise a massive wall that would hold them inside. The victory came at a great price though. Several dragons had to sacrifice themselves, and Vendrel's own son had been brutally executed in front of the Night Elf forces in order to break their leader's will. When Vendrel was given the Scepter of the Shifting Sands, a scepter they could use if they ever needed to enter Ahn'qiraj again, he shattered it in rage, and the pieces would be lost for the next 1,000 years. During Classic World of Warcraft, many years later, we found the need to enter Ahn'qiraj again. The scepter was reforged, the gong was hit, and the wall was brought down. Inside, we found several of the Qiraji, the Silithid, and at the end, the physical manifestation of the old god Kafun. This is also where we encountered the Twin Emperors, Vek'lor and Vek'linash. When you enter the room, an Eye of Kafun looks at you, and the twins, they do a little speech about how much pain we're going to endure. One of you actually shot me a message about this, and thank you very much for doing this. I hadn't even noticed it myself. When you play them in Hearthstone the cards, you'll hear the voice file, right? Where Vek'lor says,
The Feast of Souls begin now.
And Vek'linash will say,
Come, little ones.
as you can see in-game, that dialogue is actually the other way around, which means that they messed up the voice files for Hearthstone. It's a minor detail, but I thought it was really cool, so thank you for letting me know. Now, we talked a lot about the history, about the background, about the Black Empire, but what exactly have these two done for the storyline? Well, there isn't that much to work on. We know that they're called emperors, and they're the leaders amongst the Qiraji, and one of their main feats was the creation of a new obsidian statue superior to all the other destroyers. In order of their shadowy master Kafun, Vek'lor was ordered to create this creature. He called in his twin brother's aid, and while Vek'linash used his physical might to craft a grand body of volcanic rock, Vek'lor fortified the shell with powerful magic. They named their construct Mome and observed as the Dark Master infused it with life. It was their intention to use Mome as a colossal weapon, knowing that its strength would help it survive in the thick of melee, as well as magical combat, but they did not expect for the construct's ability to advance further without their assistance. Far more surprising, even to the Arcane Emperors, was Mome's ability to summon burning elementals crafted of pure mana. It was only after Vek'lor witnessed this demonstration of Mome's unbridled power that the source of the construct's seemingly limitless energy was revealed. 3 tortured dragons trapped alive within Ahn'qiraj, were used to empower Mome. The twins were stunned to learn that Kafun had somehow bound these 3 dragons, then drained their inherent magical energy and corrupted it for his own use. Truly, it seemed as if there was no limit to the powers of the Ancient One. They would soon be proven wrong, as heroes of the Alliance and Horde banded together to assault Ahn'qiraj. They took down this mome, this being of unbridled power. In fact, they took down everything in their path on their way to Kafun. Not even the Twin Emperors were able to hold their grounds. Vek'linash was a mighty warrior with incredible melee strength, immune to most magical attacks, except for the Holy Light. Vek'lor was schooled in the ways of magic, able to wield different kinds of spells, and when placed close together, these two would stick together and start healing each other. They weren't called twins for no reason, since they also shared the damage received, and to make it a little bit more trickier for the raids, every so often they teleport and switch positions. Not even all of that was able to stand up against the heroes of Azeroth. Even their mighty Ancient One fell down, and Ahn'qiraj seems to be purified of its evil taint, at least for that moment. And that is all I have for you today on the Twin Emperors Vek'lor and Vek'linash. As always, I'll leave it up to you guys girls to decide what card we're going to talk about next. So leave your suggestions in the comments down below. And who knows, your card might be used in the next video. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time guys, see ya!